landing at the minister's office. First, he sends an email to the minister, and after that follows another emails to the chief of staff of the Minister of Police and other people that he copied the emails to. But the first one was directly to the Minister of Police. Subsequent to that, the minister's office directed this complaint to the office of the National Commission. This is a complaint that comes on the 1st of November. The National Commission directs the Minister's Office directs this to the National Commissioner's Office, and they request the National Commissioner to respond by the latest, the 4th, which is 3 days later. They must give a response into these allegations of Mr. Adams. The National Commissioner's Office acted on that complaint by directing a division in the police that is responsible for dealing with complaints, which is a division inspectorate. The report from the Divisional Commissioner, Lieutenant General Jacobs, is attached and marked MK15 in this regard. This General Jacobs and the team, upon receiving this complaint, they acted upon by trying to reach out to the complainant, Mr. Adams. They were not successful in trying to get him to come and elaborate on this complaint. And they read through the complaints and the dockets that he has registered at the 2 different provinces. They could not find anything that justified his complaint to say there was an interference with the investigation. And as a result, in their conclusion, General Jacobs, which is summarized in the report that is sent to the National Commissioner, of which the National Commissioner responded to the minister, was that the complaint of Mr. Adams was premature, and the police should be allowed to first investigate this matter, and upon the investigation, and maybe the further analysis can be done whether there is any interference or not. But the biggest problem on this is the fact that the complainant himself does not avail himself when he's contacted by the people who are now investigating his complaint. He does not avail himself to be engaged in order to form the basis of his complaint in this matter.
And if I may, General, for record purposes, the report of General Jacobs is an extra MK15 to General Mkwana's statement, and that starts at page 270, Commissioners. Thank you.
Can I proceed?
No, he wanted to know if he may proceed. The commissioners were engaged, so we thought.
No, he may.
He may, okay.
Just engaging with Annex MK15. Yeah.
Okay. Before you turn to page 270, please, that's MK15. And please explain who, you say the author is Lieutenant General Jacobs. Who is he? And just highlight the date of that report. Then you can deal with its conclusions.
The report from Gerald Jacobs is dated the 30th of July 2025.
And you say who is, what position does General Jacobs hold and in what body?
Commissioners, if you allow me to indicate on this, it's a report that comes out from Gerald Jacobs as we're interrogating on what he did back then, which then supports the response to the office of the minister, which eventually a response that the National Commissioner had provided to the office of the minister with regard to the fact that they were struggling to get hold of Mr. Adams, and they could not therefore finalize their report. In the same reference, because I want to answer this question of the date of the report. There is on page, in the same annexure, on page 285. Page 285, the commissioners are going to see that that is an information note that General Jacobs, I'll say that is a report, if I understand that General Jacobs sent via the Office of the National Commissioner to the Minister of Police. And in this report, the person who signed is the Acting Divisional Commissioner, who's Major General Ladla. And this Acting Divisional Commissioner was acting in the position of Jacobs at the time. You'll see that one is dated the 4th of November, in line with the minister's timelines of dealing with the complaint. Remember, the complaint, Mr. Adams registered on the 1st of November. And the minister's office asked that the response be provided, the outcome of the investigation be provided to his office on the 4th of November. So this was complied with. The response was provided on the 4th of October, as it was signed by the Acting Divisional Commissioner and confirmed by the Acting National Commissioner at the time on the 5th of November, which is General Sibia. And it landed in the minister's desk, and the minister endorsed his signature on this document on the 8th of November of the same month. So the date that I'm now talking about, of the 30th of July, it's when Jacobs is finishing us with the information that explains what he did back then. So that's why I wanted to make sure that these two dates are not mixed up. The question is, who is General Jacobs? General Jacobs is a divisional commissioner of inspectorate in the South African Police Service. The South African Police Service, being an old department of government, back in the days, it was not the culture within government to have auditors. The culture of auditors is new. So an oversight entities that were available at the time within the police was the inspectorate. That was doing an oversight, conducting compliance with policies and directives, standing orders within the police, and the failure thereof will come with consequences. So that's how the division was born. And of course, nowadays we then adopted the King's reports, the recommendations that introduce the audits, and that's why we even have an internal audit in the police that help us to audit the work we do in compliance with both the Act and policies and directives that are issued in the organization. But inspectorate remains within the structure of the police. So that is what General Jacobs is responsible for. So the complaints, when they come into the police, they get directed to the very same structure. So it's basically like in terms of education, I will say it's I don't know whether the inspectors are still there in education, who goes around different schools and check the compliance. That's what inspectorate does. It's like a school principal that checks on everyone in the police. So that is basically the profile of General Jacobs. The good thing about this advantage we have is that General Jacobs was once a divisional commissioner of crime intelligence. So the complaints that talks about crime intelligence, he's in a better position to even understand what's going on. Besides the fact that he worked there, the inspectorate have access to all the departments, all the divisions in the police. So therefore, he had access to dockets, he has access to intelligence, although limited within crime intelligence in terms of secret fund account, but in general, he has access to many places within the police.
Can I find out, if I understand your testimony correctly, so the function of the inspectorate is to act on complaints received against the police and triggers an interrogation and investigation into the alleged conduct?
That is correct.
And subjects the police to scrutiny, the level of which I guess will be determined by the nature of the complaint.
That is correct.
And You pointed out that, and you state in your statement, that General Jacobs, in his report, indicates that he failed despite numerous attempts to engage with Mr. Adams.
That is correct.
Now, I want to turn you to page 280, please, and that is the end of the conclusion of General Jacobs' report, and to read item 8, which is the conclusion, his conclusion in regard to the complaint.
On his recommendations on this, you said 287. Am I right?
I was reading the report of the 30th of July, Annexure MK 15, that is the report from General Jacobs.
Yes.
Do you have it? It starts at 270.
Yes.
And I referred you to the conclusion that he draws under 8 at page 280.
Okay, the last paragraph on 280 reads, this office is of the considered view that the process followed to obtain, peruse, and hand over the 7 criminal dockets are above board and conducted without any malice.
Do you know whether there has been any further investigation by the inspectorate regarding the complaints of Mr. Adams beyond this report?
I am not aware of such. Commissioner, I want to, in order not to be confused on this Jacobs letter that we are talking about now, which is reflected from 273 and ending with the paragraph that I just read on 280, which is dated the 30th of July, 2025. As you can see, this one ends with Gerald Masimula as a recipient of this report. So this is a report that was recently done as the explanation that Gerald Jacobs was explaining to the National Commissioner with regard to the status of case dockets. So they might have been, I might have put them in the same bundle, but I think it's important for me to differentiate between the two.
Yes.
They're in the same annexure, but the one of Gerald Jacobs and that was investigating the complaint of Mr. Adams, it's the one that starts on number 285 in the same annexure. That one, 285, and it ends with the signature from Inspectorate at 287.
Yes.
Maybe if I may read those recommendations on record on 287.
So the one starting at 285 is the information note.
Yeah, this information note is actually the outcome of Jacob's investigation as expected by the minister on the, was supposed to be submitted on the 4th.
Okay, and that is dated, for the record, the 4th of November, 2024.
Exactly.
Okay, deal with
So
it,
the recommendations on that one, it reads, there are 3 of them. It says this office recommends that an extension of 10 working days is provided in order for the following to be considered, whereafter a comprehensive report can be provided.
Yes.
Number 1, interview the complainant and obtain a detailed affidavit. Number 2, perusal of all criminal dockets, including the Vilera case 38 of 8/2022. Determine if any other government department is investigating the same allegations. That is the recommendations from Gerald Jacobs. You'll notice, commissioners, that in paragraph 3.2 on the same letter at number 286, I'm going to read on record this paragraph, if you're allowed.
Yes, please proceed.
An officer from Division Inspectorate who was in Cape Town on other official business made several attempts to conduct an interview with the complainant, but due to other commitments, the complainant had to cancel the proposed meetings. The complainant indicated that he could travel to Gauteng if required. That is part of what they are indicating as part of them causing the delay, hence they're asking for the extension of time, that they were not able to interview the complainant in this regard. So that is what Jacobs has done. Now, if I go back into what the SC is asking me in relation to the letter 273.
Yes.
Up to the end of that letter. This letter is providing an explanation, commissioners, with regard to the incident that occurred as we are investigating, as I said, the issue of what has happened, and we are going backward. And we discover that the dockets open in Cape Town, and these dockets in Cape Town and in Pretoria, in Johannesburg, are then transferred or taken by inspectorate. So we wanted to establish how do inspectorate get hold of these dockets? And then inspectorate explained we got hold of these dockets because of the complaint from Ms. Adams. That's why we are going backward. Because we started with what is a complaint, the dockets, where do they come from? They come from here. Let's go and check these dockets. We found that in those stations, the dockets are not there. Where are they? They are taken by inspectorate. So we gone to inspectorate. Inspectorate, what's happening with this docket? And inspectorate then explains that, no, we got hold of these dockets because we're investigating a complaint. And what thereafter happened to this complaint that you're investigating? What happened to these dockets? And then you're going to see another department coming in that while we're in possession of these dockets, investigating the complaint of Mr. Adams, then suddenly IDEC, which is an independent body within the NPA, newly established, comes to inspectorate to demand the dockets. So this report was explaining that although they took the dockets because of this complaint, but the dockets were eventually taken by IDEC from them. So these dockets ended up with IDEC. But we're going to explain the issue as the SC is trying to lead in terms of putting an evidence of how the sequence of these things has been happening as the picture emerges of answering the question of interference of politicians in the work that we are doing as a police.
Thank you. General, that then would lead you, because you have introduced it already, to paragraph 180 of your statement at page 59.
Yes.
Are you there? And you deal with these issues up to paragraph 185. Once again, if you could just summarize what the complaint is. And this concerns the minister's office in relation to the complaint as leveled by Mr. Adams.
Commissioners, we are aware that the National Commissioner, through Gerald Jacobs, through the Office of the National Commissioner, had responded on the complaint of Mr. Adams and requested those 10 days, of which the minister has acknowledgement of that, although he doesn't comment, and that he does on the 8th of November. On the 11th of November, the minister's office, chief of staff, specifically, Mr. Nkabinde, directed a letter which he signed personally. He directed a letter to IDEC, which is an independent directorate against corruption. And it directs this letter to IDEC in respect of the case dockets that were both open in Cape Town and in Orlando. The copy of the letter is attached and on this statement and marked MK 16.
That's at page 309.
This letter, commissioners will read, and you can see all the case numbers are listed and signed by the Chief of Staff, Mthokozisi Nkabinde, dated the 11th of November, 2024. This letter claims that the Minister's Office is submitting this and requesting in terms of Section 27 of the NPA Act 32 of 1998. They are alleging that this matter is of a serious nature that involves corruption of the police, and therefore they are inviting IDEC. They are approaching IDEC in terms of Section 27 to investigate these cases. It is unclear why the Chief of Staff decided or elected to act on his behalf. He signs it himself, although using the letterhead of the minister, but he's a Chief of Staff. Despite the fact that the minister had acknowledged the report from Inspectorate. Despite the fact that on the 8th, the minister acknowledged the report from the Inspectorate about the same complaint, but the Chief of Staff personally signs this letter and he invites IDEC to conduct investigation in terms of Section 27 complaint.
General, apologies.